Hello and welcome to another episode of the Please Bet on Football Games podcast. I am your host, Alex, here with the on-air talent, Joe. How's it going today, Joe?
It's weird because I keep on winning money and being happy about my weekend of bets, and then I keep on coming back to the podcast where we underperformed the Patreon and my personal bets.
It's tough having to only take contest lines and doing it a little bit later in the week, because I feel like that's where you get a lot of your value is creative lines and early lines. But yeah, it sucks a little bit, especially because as much as I am happy you are winning money and can more easily dunk on people on Twitter, I do care more about the podcast picks than your Patreon or personal picks.
More focus on the pod picks this week.
Yeah, come on, man. Figure it out.
I'll get right on it. So, with all that being said, how do we do?
We did almost identical to last week in that we lost 0.83 units.
Lit.
We did only win 50% instead of 57, so that does take us down to negative 1.65 units and a win percentage of 53.9.
Which still should be a winning percentage, which means we have to get better at our bet sizing. We have to prioritize better.
Yeah, I mean, there are two very strong examples from last week, which let's talk about last week.
Let's do it.
We started hot. We had Buffalo over Miami. We had them plus 2.5. They ran away with that game.
Never close.
Tua ended his career.
That part's
but that's a dub. Started the week well. Into Sunday, it went not as great. First up, we had the Giants over the Commanders plus 1.5. That one sucked. I mean, we knew what we were getting betting on a bad team, but they scored 3 touchdowns and didn't give up a touchdown.
That's the bad.
And they lost the game by 3.
We lost at least 5 points due to a field goal kicker getting injured on the first play of the freaking game. And even with no field goal kicker, Malik Neighbors, who had an awesome game, dropped a wide open, super easy first down conversion at the 10-yard line. Would have put the Giants in striking distance to score a go-ahead winning touchdown with less than 2 minutes left. Would have given them a chance to burn a ton of clock in doing so. Wow, that was crushing. I don't think I've ever deserved to win a bet more than I did in that game. That should have been a 2-touchdown game by the Giants.
Between this game and Tennessee last week, we have had 2 awful beats.
At least we're on track.
Yeah, I mean, we're picking the right side, but
yeah, no, we're seeing the board. We're just getting screwed.
Yeah, I want to move off this one.
Yep.
Unfortunately, another loss. We had Seattle over New England minus 3.5. I believe they won by 3.
In overtime, no less.
Yeah, so that one kind of hurts, but I think it was largely just New England plays that gritty ball that somehow makes teams play worse.
Yeah. No, I think for the most part, this was actually a pretty fair result, as absurd as it sounds. I think 9 times out of 10, Seattle beats New England, but Seattle's offense is not yet clicking on all cylinders, and New England's defense is that good. Laying 3.5 was a bad decision.
Yeah, it's just taking that 3.5 number. We always know it's very risky. I think we kind of had to because a lot of numbers were 3.5 or 7.
Yeah, big lines left.
But still tough. I think, yeah, we deserve to lose that one.
Yep.
However, turned around a little bit with our little half bonus bet. Should have bet more on this one. That's one where we can talk about unit allocation. But we had Tampa Bay over Detroit money line. That was a plus 270 bet, which did help us out a lot.
We always do this with Baker Mayfield, where we doubt him when we shouldn't.
Yeah, I take the blame for that because I feel like I definitely tempered you on this bet.
Yeah, you fucking did, because I actually bet this in real life and on the page, and it won, and I was happy. And it was the first 2 bets of the week were Buffalo and Tampa, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be rich.
But nonetheless, it was a win.
It was a win.
At plus 270.
Yep.
I think it was a just win. Baker Mayfield is insane.
Incredible.
Even Chris Berman on Monday night talked about Baker said, nobody's playing better quarterback than this guy through the first 2 weeks of the season. And I was like, yeah, he's completely right. So good win. Should have bet more, but such is life. And onto another bad unit allocation. We had the Rams over Arizona plus 1. That was our best bet. they got the shit kicked out of them. Kyler played incredible. The Rams defense is atrocious. And
Yeah.
their offense is already so injured, it's crazy.
I mean, they literally don't have any starters left, except for Matt Stafford and their shitty running back. We have to do some reevaluating on the Rams. Also, Kyler Murray played his ass off to an extent that he almost never does. So a little bit of a fluke, but damn, was that nice.
And then closing out the week, even though this was a noon game, should have bet more. We had New Orleans over Dallas plus 6.5. New Orleans won by, I think, 3 scores. Good bet.
New Orleans is fucking real, dude.
I mean, the way Derek Carr is playing right now, absolutely. Because we knew their defense was at least going to be pretty good with an upside of being real good. But we thought the offense would be iffy because we didn't really trust Derek Carr. But he's playing some ball right now.
We said it in the preseason preview about the Saints. They're the best mediocre team of all time because technically they're pretty good everywhere. The one question is just coaching, which is terrible. It's no longer terrible. In fact, Clint Kubiak, certified good.
Yeah, he's been doing a great job. But that wraps us up. Like I said, 50% win percentage, down 0.83 units on the week. But let's do better this week. On to week 3. First up on Thursday night, we have the New England Patriots going to play the New York Jets. The Jets are minus 6.5.
You going to watch this game?
I hope I have something else better going on. The Guardians might have a game.
I don't want to watch this game. But
I don't think...
dude, the Patriots might be a good side, actually.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to make it a bet, but I kind of agree with you in the way they've been playing. That defense is looking good.
The defense is legit as hell. You can't make any bones about it. And then the Jets, Aaron Rodgers has thrown some really nice deep balls, which have kind of distracted everybody from the fact that he has done everything else very poorly. And their running game is inconsistent, and their defense isn't very good. It's very mediocre. And so, like, we know the Patriots are just going to run the ball up the middle against them a billion times, but the Jets' defensive line has been awful. And they got a hurt linebacker. God damn it. Before this pod, we said we weren't betting this game, but I kind of want to bet this game.
Are you talking about Mosley?
Mosley's hurt.
Yeah, I kind of want to bet this game as well. 6.5 with, I mean, both of their games. What was the score of week 1? They win by 6, 9, something like that. Yeah, they beat the Bengals.
I think it was like 16-10.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, they feel like the team where no one's really going to score.
No.
They've either won by a score or lost in overtime by a field goal.
Dude, listen to this.
They're playing... Go ahead.
Listen to this. The Patriots are a good running team, right? Like, say what we will about Alex Van Pelt. We don't love him from his Cleveland days, but he can design a run game. Ramondre Stevenson is a solid running back. The Jets' defensive line is going to be Will McDonald, who's a speed rusher, who's not particularly great at speed rushing. Javon Kinlaw, who's terrible against the run because he's notoriously weak and soft. Michael Clemens, who I didn't know was a starting NFL player. And Quinnen Williams, who is apparently having a down season, but he's still Quinnen Williams, so give him respect. You're going to run all over that. And then you take out CJ Mosley and replace him with Chaz Surratt from UNC. Like, you can run that ball. Also, here's a little side note. Sauce Gardner is the 89th ranked cornerback by PFF this year. I don't know what to do with that. He's been not very good, but I don't know what to do with all that.
Yeah, I mean, it's still early. Nobody plays in the preseason anymore.
True.
I don't take anything too seriously until like probably week 4.
But back to the front 7 matchup. If the Patriots can run on the Bengals and the Patriots can run on the Seahawks being a very tough run D, they're going to run on the Jets. And if they score 2 touchdowns, they cover.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what's nice about having 6.5 in a game that is expected to have rain. It's going
to rain.
And it's going to be run heavy as hell, at least from the Patriots side. I don't know. I kind of want to take it, but okay, what do we see that the public doesn't?
Aaron Rodgers isn't actually good.
I would say, is it just Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers isn't actually good. The Jets offense is nothing like it was supposed to be. The Jets defense is nothing like it's supposed to be. The Patriots defense is quietly good because nobody knows any of these players' names, but the scheme is really good. Like, I hated the Gerard Mayo hiring when Drake May got drafted to the Patriots, and all of a sudden I cared about them again. But damn it if he can't coach a defense. Christian Gonzalez, for my money, is the best cornerback in the NFL, and he's going to lock down Wilson.
Didn't the Patriots just lose a linebacker or somebody for the year? Juwan Bentley, maybe?
Yeah, but Juwan Bentley sucks. He can't run. And if
And
that means
doesn't
if Jawan Bentley going down means they play Kyle Duggar or Jabril Peppers in the box more, that makes them better.
will they, or will they just put a shittier linebacker in?
They always play them both in the box anyway. They both effectively play nickel linebacker.
So you don't think that it really affects anything for how the defense plays?
No, not at all.
Okay. I'm just trying to think of like injuries, anything that changed from last week. But I mean, looking at this going, it's going to be rainy, kind of cold. It's going to be a running game with a defense that's been very good to this point against a Jets offense that hasn't.
The way
Six
that
and a half?
the way that we lose this game is that Aaron Rodgers goes off and just, reminds us who he is. But on short rest in slightly wet weather, when he's looked as bad as he's looked, I'm not that afraid of that. We'll see. Oh, by the way, I've not lost a single bet on a primetime game yet this year, and I've bet every single one of them.
Sounds like you got to bet this one, then.
Trends would say I should bet Patriots because it's 100% likelihood of success based on past performance this year. Let's maybe pile it because I don't want to. If I don't love a game, I don't want to put it in the like pile as the first game.
That's fair. And
But
it
it's
is
hard to overcome the amount of points we're getting in a low-scoring, crappy game with crappy weather.
right. Like Thursday night games are always ugly as hell. It's going to be rainy. I like it, but okay. It's Thursday night. Let's move on to Sunday. And moving on to Sunday, kicking off the noon slate, we have the Los Angeles Chargers going to play the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are -1.
This game terrifies me.
Yeah. You want to bet on the Steelers?
No, we have two voodoo bullshit coaches with similarly bullshit crappy rosters who make every game disgusting, and both of them have beaten up on bad teams to this point. So they're both undefeated despite having beaten college teams by simply not fucking up that badly. I hate this game, but at the same time, I get Justin Herbert versus Justin Fields at Pick'em with even coaching.
Yeah, but the Steelers defense is a lot better.
That's true.
And I trust the Steelers because I feel like the Steelers' philosophy and team structure is just a better version of what Harbaugh wants to do because they kind of are like the perfect old school college football team. They have a really good defense. They prey on offense. And that's kind of what Harbaugh does. You run and hope something happens.
No, you're dead right.
But I don't really want to bet on this game either because it's effectively a pick 'em and it's two teams that have gaping holes but overperform.
Would I change your mind if I told you we could get Chargers +2?
Not really, because at that point I kind of want a field goal.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so for now we just put this shitty game aside.
Yeah, I don't really want to bet on it either, though. I think if I had to, I'd probably go Steelers, but it is kind of insane to go with a team that has Justin Fields running their offense over one that has Justin Herbert, but they don't use Herbert.
Yep. No, I mean, Steve Palazzolo, formerly of PFF fame, is currently doing a running gag where he says Jim Harbaugh has found his new God damn it. Jim Harbaugh has found his new JJ McCarthy and Justin Herbert, a quarterback who he swears is the greatest and adores, but only lets him throw 15 times a game for 100 yards. It's true.
Yeah. So that's kind of why I would go Steelers because both of these teams minimize their quarterbacks' impact.
These are the same teams. These are that coaching
really
staff
are.
with the same caliber of roster, just different construction.
But we can stop talking about this. If we need to, we can revisit it, but hopefully we don't even need to.
Fuck this game. This game is a sin. Next
up, we have the Chicago Bears going to play the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are also -1.
It's time. I like the Bears.
I kind of do too.
All right. Here's why I like the Bears. For the first time, dude, I don't remember the last time I wanted to bet on the Bears.
I can't remember a time either.
It's been at least a year, maybe 2 years. The Colts defense is terrible, right? Like terrible in every facet. Every level of their defense is terrible.
Yeah. And DeForest Buckner just went on the IR.
Exactly. So the one redeeming quality of the Colts defense has been for a few years now, their defensive tackles are so elite, you just can't run on them. And then they have thumping linebackers who kind of like clean up the slop that's left. And because you can't run, they know you're going to pass, which allows them to drop more players in coverage to avoid getting gashed by, because they have a terrible secondary. Issue is the Bears are going to be able to run the ball for the first time. So the Titans quietly have an elite defense. And I think people are starting to realize that. But week 1, it just looks like the Bears suck because people thought the Titans defense would be mid at best. Week 2, Houston defense, pretty good. The Bears moved the ball better, but, still not much. We haven't scored a touchdown yet. You combine the factors of 1, the public is all of a sudden very eager to turn on Caleb Williams after having no appetite to do so during the summer and spring when I asked them to. 2, the market thinks that Anthony Richardson is great because it sees a few highlights but doesn't realize that he literally can't complete any other passes. And 3, the Colts' already terrible defense just lost their one stalwart player. Also, the Colts run a ton of cover 3. They're a very predictable defense. I think that'll allow Caleb Williams to feel a little bit more comfortable. It'll allow the Bears to run the ball because cover 3 necessitates light boxes. I like the matchup for a terrible Bears offense. I think they get their first 2 offensive touchdowns of the season this week. That's my bold prediction. The Bears score 14 points on offense.
2 touchdowns on offense?
I know. I'm getting spicy with it. Flipping to the other side of the ball, I already mentioned that Anthony Richardson is fucking terrible. I want to say it one more time. Anthony Richardson is fucking terrible. Because he's so fucking terrible, you can't really run the ball that well, despite the Colts having a legitimately very good offensive line. The Bears' defensive line has quietly been above average too. I didn't think they would be, but I've actually really liked the production they've gotten out of Darrell Taylor, who they picked up off the scrap heap from Seattle 2 weeks ago. He's been legitimately good. I don't know, man. The Bears defense has proven that it can be decent. The Bears offense just needs to be bad in order for them to win this game. Fuck, the Packers just beat this Colts team without throwing the ball.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like the Bears as well, just because I don't trust the Colts to move the ball at all. And I don't really trust the Bears to do it, but I trust them slightly more. And I like their defense. Like, they actually have players that I go, oh, he's very good, compared to the Colts, where it's like, hopefully this scheme is great. And it's effectively pick 'em, but we're getting a point.
We're getting a point, and we're getting a desperate fucking team. All right. I don't love it, but I like it. Let's take Bears. And for the pod, Bears money line plus 105.
I was going to say we might as well just do money line, make a little bit of cash.
All right. I don't love doing this. I really don't, but we're going to give it a cha-ching. All right, we're on the board. We got 1. What a stinky game. But basically it just comes down to fuck Anthony Richardson. He's terrible. Fuck the entire Colts defense. It's terrible. Caleb Williams can't be this bad for so long. If the Bears go 0-3, though, to this Colts team, start hanging nets outside the buildings in Chicago.
Didn't the Bears beat the Titans?
Oh, shit. I forgot about that. I just kind of forgot that it was possible to win a football game without scoring an offensive touchdown.
You trauma blocked it out of your memory.
I literally did. By the way, the Titans haven't had a game this year where they didn't get a punt blocked. That's just a little fact. All right, let's move to the next one.
Next up, we have the Houston Texans going to play the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings are plus 2.5.
I fucking love this one. Give me them Vikings. Give me the money line, please. Money line, they are plus 120 over at FanDuel. Now, I'm not putting a units in yet because this might be my best bet of the week. I love this bet. What isn't the public noticing about this game?
I think they're riding off of the Texans and CJ Stroud hype and going, no, this isn't a bad offense. And maybe it's not a bad offense, but it hasn't been good.
No, it hasn't been good whatsoever. And people are not realizing that Sam Darnold is good enough in an offense that is so good. Dude, did you know Kevin O'Connell's like 34?
Really?
Yeah, he's young as all hell.
I knew he was young, but it's like McVay.
Okay, he's 39, but he's still he's in his 30s, and he's already established himself as one of the top 8 coaches in the NFL and climbing quickly. We have a team with a great offensive line and beyond elite receivers. Don't look now, but the Vikings are too deep with good running backs and a very effective running game. Their quarterback is playing solid ball. I've graded every snap Sam Darnold's taken this year, and he hasn't played bad yet, right? Hasn't all been great, but the stats have been great because everything is perfect for him and he's playing solid solid. Other side, I like Houston's defense, but if there's a way to attack them, it's with the run game and the play action. And that's exactly what the Vikings do. It's an undersized defensive line that's very good at getting after the passer, but if you keep running at them, especially with a powerful back like Aaron Jones, you're going to have success. Other side of the ball, like you mentioned earlier, people just love CJ Stroud, and he doesn't really have to do anything to earn that, and that's frustrating. But Brian Flores is a brilliant defensive coordinator who brings a lot of looks at people and has a good long track record of confusing Shanahan offense quarterbacks like CJ Stroud. By the way, remember when Stephon Gilmore was a free agent like 3 weeks ago and the Vikings signed him and I said this changes everything for their defense?
Yep.
It's weird how every year for 5 fucking years people keep forgetting Stephon Gilmore is awesome at football. And then they sign him and he's awesome at football. And then as soon as the season ends, they're like, that mustn't have been real. We have to get rid of this guy immediately. Stephon Gilmore's good at football. Respect Stephon Gilmore. He's changed this defense, and he's going to go one-on-one with Nico Collins, and he's going to hold him in check.
I was about to say, because that's the one shining light of this Houston offense so far is that Nico Collins is insane.
I believe that one might call him him.
Yeah, but you have Stephon Gilmore, who is in his 12th year of being insane. So, and he's a bigger corner that's not going to get beat up as much as some of the other corners.
You know what else I saw recently that I was really encouraged by?
What?
Dallas Turner got on the field a little bit last week, and he looked bendy. I like him. No, man, I think this Vikings team is good. I don't think anybody gives Kevin O'Connell the respect he deserves. I don't think people realized that Kirk Cousins' stats were amazing the last 2 years, and Kirk Cousins was not amazing. I don't think people realized how little of a drop-off there was when Justin Jefferson got hurt last year, and it's all because of the one constant, KOC, I love me some cock. Best bet is scary because Houston is a good team, but there's just so much, there's so much CJ Stroud delusion. People have been ragging on, this is a fun thing I was talking about with somebody at work today. This year, I'm going to list the quarterbacks that through 2 games have thrown interceptions on throwaways. Will Levis, it got memed. Tua, it got memed before he died and you couldn't talk about him anymore. Caleb Williams almost had one. He's been a meme for a lot of reasons. CJ Stroud had one. Nobody talks about it. CJ Stroud is not infallible. CJ Stroud, by the way, CJ Stroud also threw the ball backwards last week, just like Will Levis did, but only one of them gets memed to hell. CJ Stroud's been getting away with a lot of shit lately, and it's gonna have to stop at some point. Now, Bobby Slowick is also a genius offensive coordinator in his own right, but when we've got equal offensive coordinators, and we've got a defensive coordinator advantage in Minnesota, I think, small, but there, it comes down to rosters. Better receivers, Minnesota, albeit pretty close. Better offensive line, Minnesota. Better running back, Minnesota. Better defensive line, Minnesota. Better secondary, Minnesota. Better quarterback, I think it's close, but CJ Stroud. It's not enough. Give me the Vikings. Money line, but in the contest, we'll take the points.
So what is the pod pick? Is it money line or is it plus 2.5?
Money line for the pod pick.
Okay, I agree.
We got to fucking we got to win some units here. We got to stop being, the problem is we've had too much integrity with the pod picks, sticking to the contest lines and being deliberate. But fuck that shit, dude. It's about making money. You guys want to make money. In the contest, sure, take the Vikings. But with money, bet on the Vikings money line.
Cha-ching.
Cha-ching.
Possible best bet.
Possible best bet. Next game?
Next game. We have the New York Giants going to play the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are minus 6.5.
I was about to say, fuck this game. Who wants to talk about this game? But should the Browns really be laying a touchdown against anyone?
No, but I don't want to bet on the Giants again. And the Browns, their defense is really, really good.
Myles Garrett's going to destroy that offensive line. Yeah, let's not touch it.
And Deshaun is bad, but he doesn't really have to be good.
He just has to keep his hands to himself.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
which is proving to be quite the issue itself.
But yeah, I mean, I think you're right. The Browns shouldn't be laying 6.5, but I just don't really want to bet on a Browns game.
Yeah, me neither. Let's go to the next one because the next one's really fun.
Next up, we have the Philadelphia Eagles going to play the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are minus 2.5.
I feel a little bit bad because I moved this line pretty substantially. At least in Illinois, at least at one book. It was Saints plus 118 money line. I threw $8,000 on it. It moved less than 5 minutes later. Like by the time I posted the screenshot to Patreon, the line was gone. I don't know if they made a mistake that I alerted them to. I don't know if I'm just that smart and brilliant and wonderful. It's definitely the first one. one, but I think I still like the Saints.
Yeah, even at 2.5, I agree.
What have the Eagles done that hasn't been moderately disappointing so far this year? Like Jalen Hurts has been terrible as a passer, right? That's Birdwatcher, close your ears. The Birdwatcher's having a rough day. He don't want to hear about football. There's a decent chance he doesn't listen to the pod this week just because last night may have killed him, at least a good part of him.
Yeah, I mean, that was brutal.
The only text I got from the Birdwatcher after the game last night was, this was the first time I've been confident about an Eagles game in years. So we crushed his little bird heart. Yeah, I feel bad. Got to get this man some beers. We talked about it in the intro. The Saints roster was always good. We always liked it. We just knew that their coaching would never improve and they would play suboptimal ball, resulting in being a mediocre at very best team. We was wrong. Clint Kubiak is great. Clint Kubiak is probably going to be a head coach next year if he keeps this up. He made the entire offensive line go from below average to really good. And I know week 1, they didn't play the toughest of opponents. Week 2, they did. They stumped that Dallas defense. They thwarted the defensive line. They ran all over them. They passed all over them. It was brilliant. They've got Derek Carr finally throwing down the field with confidence. How did they do that? Derek Carr's been a pussy for his entire adult life. God knew he was a pussy, so he built him with built-in mascara. Doesn't matter. Derek Carr has been really good, and he always had it in him. And I've very quietly, like, I haven't wanted to stand on a soapbox and preach about Derek Carr the way I have about a Baker Mayfield, a Sam Howell, a Will Levis. I've had Derek Carr graded as a 2.4 to 2.5 quarterback for a few years now and just not told anybody about it, which is the same grade that I gave like Trevor Lawrence and like a better grade than I gave Dak. But it was just unpopular and I didn't feel strongly enough to really throw myself out there. It is being paid back in spades now, and I wish that I had had some courage in my convictions because, like Derek Carr, I was a pussy, and now I don't get to brag the way I would like to. God damn it. But the Eagles' defense has been terrible in the secondary. Their best defensive back has been Mitchell, the rookie out of Toledo. What's his name? Quinyon. I knew it. I wanted to call him Tinyon, but that's not a name. Quinyon Mitchell has been their best cornerback for my money. He's actually made a few nice plays on the ball. Problem with Quinyon Mitchell, occasionally he will just get lost. He's a zone corner, and when he's forced to match, occasionally he guesses wrong. Darius Slay is gone. He's not the guy anymore, and Avonte Maddox never was the guy. Nakobe Dean is just, I don't know if he knows that he's supposed to get the guy with the football. Sometimes I think he just knows he's supposed to sprint in a direction when the ball is snapped, and he's really good at that. He can sprint in a direction, but tackling or covering are really, really confusing for him. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is eternally doing one thing, getting away with penalties or getting burnt. Even yesterday when he made a sick play on 4th down to stuff the running back, he absolutely got away with a penalty, taking his helmet off when he didn't need to so he could get some FaceTime on the camera. Now, it
looked like it was already falling off, but he definitely made sure that it finished falling off.
It came up off his chin a half an inch. He took that helmet all the way off. Like, look, if it had been the first quarter and 2nd down, that flag gets thrown. But because it was a game-changing play, they rightfully swallowed the flag. But that doesn't change the fact that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is doing shit that's technically wrong, and he's getting away with it again, goddammit. He also got burnt on a long touchdown to Darnell Mooney because of course he did. It's just what he does. I can't wait for Rashid Shaheed, the best post route runner in the NFL, to get one-on-one with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. I'm going to flood my pants with many different kinds of fluids on the way to the Saints winning this game outright. Also, the defensive line for the Eagles. What happened? So quickly they fell apart. The defensive tackles are still crazy good, but Jordan Davis is never going to play half the snaps because he's just too fat. And Josh Sweat seems to have been a complete flash in the pan.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting absolutely no pass rush, and that's making their not very good corners look a lot worse. But their defense has been terrible, and this New Orleans offense has been elite, and they just played a better defense.
Yeah, of a similar caliber team, and they dominated them. And it's a little fluky because, like, as good as Derek Carr is playing, as amazing as Rashid Shaheed is, yeah, maybe you don't hit a 50-yard bomb to Rashid Shaheed every game. Maybe you miss it next game. Fine, take that off the board. And maybe, Alvin Kamara isn't having a career renaissance. He just had a hot game or two, and this week he's going to come back down to earth and average like 4 yards a carry, and he won't have that big explosive touchdown run. Fine, take another touchdown off the board. There's so much wiggle room. They've been so dominant, and they've been really so the thing that the Eagles do better than anybody when they need a pass rush, or at least they have in years past, I think they'll continue to do it this year. When push comes to shove, they just throw 5 down linemen at you and say, fuck it. We're playing cover 4 behind them, so it's soft coverage. You can't go deep. And we're rushing 5 good D linemen at you. And most offenses aren't equipped to handle that, but the Saints are, because one thing Kubiak has started doing that is brilliant, and it's a Kyle Shanahan staple, it's a Mike McDaniel staple, is I call it a power chip, where you do play action and then your running back running full speed because he just faked a handoff, just throws his body into the edge rusher. And it gives you at least another half second to pass, and it lets your right tackle, typically, whichever tackle you're doing it to, it lets that tackle get a full step advantage, so speed is no longer an issue. And if you take speed out of the equation for Taliesin Fuaga or Trevor Penning, they're going to maul you because they're strong dudes. So it just works perfectly. Kubiak is really maximizing this offensive line. It is a perfect foil for what the Eagles are going to do to manufacture pressure. And there's nothing behind that defensive line. And you flip to the other side of the ball. What are the Eagles going to do? A.J. Brown's not there to save Hurts, so the jump balls won't be there. Your man Alontae Taylor has been everywhere this season. Like, he's really coming into his own. Not Alontae Taylor. Paulson Adebo, that's your guy.
I was about to say, I don't know who the hell you're talking about. Yeah, Paulson Adebo, baby.
Alontae Taylor's the slot. He's also been playing well, but Paulson Adebo's been everywhere. He's been balling out of control. The knock on this defensive line for the Saints is that it's like kind of slow and old. Good. They're going to be trying to stuff the run. You can do that while being slow and old. It's a power offensive line versus a power defensive line that mitigates. And you got Pete Werner and Demario Davis running around cleaning shit up at the second level. It's fucking beautiful how this fits together. I almost love it too much, and I really, really don't like the Eagles. Sorry, Birdwatcher. I'm hoping that you've tuned out by now. Saquon's not going to average 10 yards a carry like he did against that really terrible Atlanta front seven. Jalen Hurts. Okay, so a fun thing happened last night during the game where early in the game, most of Twitter was agreeing Jalen Hurts looks markedly slow. And he did. But then Jalen Hurts ripped off a couple big runs and people immediately retracted their statements. But they shouldn't have. They should have stuck to their guns because Hurts did look slow. It's just that the Falcons might have the slowest defensive line in all of football. They've got Grady Jarrett coming off an Achilles at like 33. They've got David Onyemata, who's a nose guard. They've got Matt Judon, he's a solid defensive end, but he's never been anything but slow. And they've got Lorenzo Carter, who's just mid. Because those defensive linemen were so slow and creating no push, Jalen Hurts was able to outrun them, but Jalen Hurts wasn't moving fast. This Saints defensive line's a lot more athletic with Chase Young and Brian Brisset. And fuck, I mean, if Cam Jordan's playing defensive tackle like he has been this year, that's a very athletic defensive tackle, albeit not a good defensive end. Pete Werner and Demario Davis can fly around. They can catch Hurts. Hurts won't be able to be the runner he was. He can't pass. I expect Devontae Smith to get locked up by this secondary. I think it's just a head and shoulders better team that also happens to match up well against Philly. I'm making the case way too strong right now.
Yeah, I mean, you have Philly going to New Orleans on a shorter week. The New Orleans might get Lattimore back this week too.
Oh,
because he apparently, I mean, we'll see because it's a hamstring injury, so you never know. But he almost played last week. Like, if it was up to him, he would have played last week. So he might play this week. And then that defense gets even better.
And then you have four
Devonta Smith
corners.
is eliminated. So I don't know. I think this is why I don't know if Minnesota is going to be the best bet, because I really like this pick too. The only issue is that it's moved 5 points to where they're now -2.5.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, for real. But still, I mean, I like this game.
I do too. And I'm reticent that like the Saints have so much hype right now. Like they came out of nowhere and people have quickly flipped back to their side. But you know what? It's warranted. People were way too low on them to begin with because they hated their coaching and they didn't realize offensive coordinators all that matters. So let's put it in. The Saints are a bet. Fuck it. We might have 2 best bets this week. For now, we know that we at least have 1 unit on the Saints. Cha-ching.
Cha-ching.
On to the next one.
Let's jump on over. Next up, we have the Denver Broncos going to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs are -7.
I have half a fucking mind, dude.
The only reason I say no is because I don't think we need to. And even though the Bucs should absolutely win this game by more than a touchdown, it's still a touchdown spread where Tampa admittedly is kind of living off of the brilliance of Baker Mayfield.
What else is new?
True. And it's not like the Broncos are going to be the team to stop him. And the Broncos score negative points on offense.
It's going to be 91 degrees in Tampa on Sunday with 64% humidity.
Yeah, that's going to be miserable.
You know who's going to be most miserable for? The Denver defense, who's coming from a cold weather place. I mean, what's the weather like in Denver right now?
Probably like 70.
Okay, so not 91. You've got like Chicago weather.
Yeah, but it's also dry, so it feels even colder.
So we've got a moderate weather to cold weather team going to play fucking Tampa in the heat of the day in the sun. And the reason that I care about that is because the Broncos can't get first downs. Bo Nix is a whole new level. To quote Pantera, a whole new level of incompetence rather than confidence. Now I have Pantera stuck in my head. They're going to be punting the ball to the Buccaneers rapidly, meaning the defense is going to get tired rapidly, and the Buccaneers are already a way better team. I could see this being running clock, 20-point game by halftime.
No, I absolutely could as well.
It's amazing.
But then you get into, but then you just get into bullshit prevent stuff, and it's 7.
Can Bo Nix hit it? We've got one of the dumbest, least accurate quarterbacks I've ever seen start a game against a complex Buccaneers defense, and quietly the secondary looks better than I thought they would. And he's going to be down a ton, extremely disappointed. Fuck, he might get pulled, and that might be the worst thing. Look, 7 points is always a maybe, but god damn, I want it. It's certainly,
it goes on the maybe pile.
It's a drop dead leg for goddamn sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think we maybe pile it and come back.
Okay, that's fair.
And rounding out the 12 hour, we have the Green Bay Packers going to play the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are -3.
Malik Willis revenge game.
Yeah, Green Bay.
No, I like Titans +3, goddammit, a lot.
They're -3 though.
What? Oh, well, I still like that. I don't love it as much as I did. I was about to say we love all the underdogs this week a lot. Here's my theory. Green Bay can't pass the ball. Like, it's not even really an option. They can't try. So you have an elite Titans defense just crowding the box. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, I think the question of this game is going to be, does Will Levis tank the game late?
He simply can't, right? Also, here, before we get to that, here's a very fun PFF stat. Algerius Sneed's the second worst corner in the world. Ha!
Maybe he got paid and stopped caring.
This is a top 5 corner. He's been very good. Nothing, he has not been getting beaten. He has barely even gotten targeted. I love this man. And, oh, dude, Jamal Adams, Blitz Boy, is actually going to be healthy for this game, too, for a game where the Packers can only run the ball. This is like the one game where he'll be very useful as a safety because he could just thump. I get Tavondre Sweat, Jeffrey Simmons, Harold Landry, Sebastian Joseph Day, and Arden Key on the field at the same time. Holy meat sandwich. That's going to be something to run against. I love the matchup. You never want to run against the Titans. You never want to telegraph that you're running. Malik Willis is terrible. Now he's got tape. You know, like now the Titans are going to see how the Packers want to try to mitigate Malik Willis being terrible. And let's go to offense. Check the video on.
This is the real question, because I agree with you. I don't think anyone is expecting the Packers to put up a lot of points on offense this week. Our question becomes, we know that the public is very low on Levis because he's had some bad turnovers.
Because he's had two of the dumbest plays I've ever seen.
He's had 2 incredibly memeable events, and he's played 2 games this season.
Is basically all of my brand just defending dudes who are much better than the terrible memes that get circulated about them?
It's becoming that.
Like Baker, Howell, Levis, May.
And hating running quarterbacks.
Yes, these are my 2 things. No, Levis was, if you take away the dumbest fumble of the year, and it was, if you take that away, Will Levis was legitimately not good, but like fucking excellent last week. Yes, there was an interception. In theory, if you can put a ball in between the fingertips and hands and crooks of the elbows of your possession receiver 50 yards downfield, that's a good throw and a great idea. That's what happened. And as the safety fell to the ground with Treylon Burks, he kind of just wrestled the ball away from Burks. That's got nothing to do with the throw. It's got nothing to do with the decision. It's just got everything to do with Treylon not fighting for the ball. He won't make that mistake again. Hopefully, Will Levis has thrown the dumbest interception possible, and he's thrown the dumbest fumble possible. I can't think of another way he could turn the ball over, so I think he's done.
I think he's definitely going to have some bonehead moments still, just because that's a little bit of the type of the player he is.
Yeah.
But I do agree that he's only going to get better. I mean, he is still a very young, raw quarterback.
Like he's not fumbling because he's loose with the ball or he has weak hands, and he's not throwing picks because he's making bad decisions or being inaccurate. He's fumbling because he tried to do some Patrick Mahomes type shit when it was ill-advised. He's throwing picks because he's trying to throw the ball away and save himself a few yards when it's ill-advised. I think he's probably learned by now. If he hasn't, bench him. Legitimately. As somebody who likes Will Levis, if he continues to do stupid shit in close games, you have to bench him because he clearly has a cognitive disability that you won't be able to overcome. I think we see a lot of the run game from the Titans, which is good because the Packers defense is historically never good against the run. I think Will Levis plays a very clean, effective game, and I don't think the Packers can score. And fuck, dude, the Titans should be 2-0. They should be looking for 3-0. If they go 0-3 when they should be at least 2-1, and they lose to their own fourth string quarterback in doing so, that's just a world I don't want to live in.
Yeah, I mean, we have to consider that there's a world in which maybe Callahan's not a very good coach and Levis isn't the guy. And so maybe like we think they should be 2-0, but maybe we're too high on them. And maybe Levis is the guy that's just going to do stupid shit in key moments because he's trying to be Superman.
He is going to do stupid shit, but he's always done stupid shit, and it never manifested itself in an insane turnover every game. I think we just rolled a couple snake eyes. Just like I don't think that the Titans are particularly terrible at punting. I think that we just got really unlucky that they had 2 punts blocked.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still in with you on that, but
it's scary. It's why this isn't a best bet, despite the fact that I get a much better team against a backup quarterback laying 3.
Yeah.
But
now, granted, I think last week we did say we weren't going to bet on the Titans until they showed us that they could cover a spread, but
they showed us they could. They just need to stop getting punts blocked. If they stop getting punts blocked, if Calvin Ridley catches the 60-yard bomb that went through both of his hands, if Will Levis doesn't try to fumble the weirdest fumble of all time, I mean, they could have easily won that game.
I agree with you on paper. I just worry because maybe we should wait until they have a week where they don't get a punt blocked or where Will Levis doesn't make an incredibly memeable turnover, because both of those are 2 for 2.
True, but you have to think logically though. Like if you go to a roulette table at a casino and it lands on 4 and they spin it again and it lands on 4 again, you don't immediately think this roulette table's broken. It lands on 4 every time. You think, well, it's not landing on 4 for a while.
Sure, but this also isn't a complete game of chance.
It's not.
Maybe the Titans just have some whole, I mean, I don't know how you're fucking, like, what
it's the
innovative thing or thing they're missing on punt block.
Like, Alex, who's the worst punting team of all time?
I don't know.
Exactly. Because nobody has ever gotten a punt blocked every fucking game because it's just variance. It's just crazy shit that happens.
No, and that's a good point. And like, you're right.
If it was possible that the Titans were doing something so wrong on the punt unit that they were just getting punts blocked all the time, somebody else in the 100-something years of the NFL would have had this problem and we would remember it because it's crazy. Like, yeah. The 0-16 Browns/Lions teams could punt. At the very least, there's plenty of film out there to show them how to stop getting punts blocked because it happens all the time, like more than anything else.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. I just worry because the Packers also have a more creative defense. They have good corners. I mean, Eric Stokes' ball skills are terrible, but
he's always right there.
Exactly. So, like, I think there is a lot of opportunity for Levis to have some turnovers, but
well, here's the other thing.
To your point, if they don't get punts blocked, they cover.
That's the thing. If Will Levis throws the crazy throwaway interception week 1, the Titans still win that game if they don't get a punt block for a touchdown. Will Levis has the dumbass fumble. It cost his team 3 yards or 3 points. Boo fucking who. These things happen. Every quarterback turns the ball over. You don't think Malik Willis is going to leave some points on the board? Patrick Mahomes threw 3 fucking pickables last week. These things happen. We can't get scared just because Will Levis is our uglier. Otherwise, we'd hate Baker Mayfield because he throws a lot of the dumbest picks I've ever seen. But you know what? It doesn't doesn't really matter. It matters how many times you get picked, not how ugly it is when you do.
Yeah.
And if that's not true, then my basic fundamental understanding of football is flawed, and therefore we're going to lose every fucking bet anyway because I'm a dumbass. So I like this because the only way I'm wrong is if all my priors and beliefs are wrong.
Yeah, and I'm fine with making the bet. I'll just say that I'm slightly more reserved than you are, just because.
No. I want this to be clear to the audience. The Titans terrify and infuriate me, and they have for about a decade. But I have to follow the film. I have to bet on the better team.
You just can't quit them.
No, I can't.
All right, is it an official bet or is it going on the maybe pile? Because our maybe pile is pretty significant.
We're chinging this cha. It's cha-ching.
So to recap so far, we definitely have Minnesota. We definitely have New Orleans. We definitely have Tennessee. Do we definitely do Chicago or is it maybe pile?
Fuck. Maybe pile Chicago.
Okay. Because currently then we have 3 more teams on the maybe pile, or 3 total. New England, Chicago, and Tampa.
I'm only maybe piling Chicago because I want to see what else we've got.
Yeah, I mean, we still have all of the middle and primetime games.
A lot of games left. All right, to the next one.
Let's move on. Next up, we have the Carolina Panthers going to play the Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders are -5.
We've already lost a ton of value. The second that the Panthers benched Bryce Young, we should have been betting on the Panthers +7. Andy Dalton is like a 4-point upgrade over Bryce Young, but the problem is that I still don't think the Panthers are any good. I lean Panthers, but I don't need to touch it.
Yeah, and at 5, you're really not getting that much. I mean, this game is bound to be stupid and have a lot of silliness in it. So 5 might actually end up being a good number, but we don't need to bet on this game. This game is disgusting. I say we move on.
Yeah, and honestly, we can keep it moving quick because this next game is more chaos.
Next up, we have the Miami Dolphins going to play the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks are -4.5.
The Dolphins with Skylar Thompson are not as good as the Dolphins with Tua. Skylar Thompson was a very bad college quarterback, and he is a worse NFL quarterback. He's totally inept. That being said, Mike McDaniel is still a genius. I'm sure they will score at least 17 points. I mean, hell, Mike McDaniel made Skylar Thompson score 30-something against the Bills in the playoffs. The Seahawks on the other side, I just don't know what to make of them on offense because it seems like they're doing the right things, but it never manifests itself in points. We just saw this Seahawks team struggle to put away a bad Patriots team. I'm not ready to lay more than a field goal with them against a great coach. I also think it's just as likely that the Dolphins are going to be really, really depressed for this game and like not into it as it is that they're going to be super into it because they're winning one for the Gipper. So I don't know what to make of it. I don't need to make of it. I don't want to touch it.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same boat. It's a weird number. Neither team's really inspires me. Skylar Thompson is complete. He has a very wide range of outcomes because he's bad, but he's in a Mike McDaniel offense. So he can either be the terrible quarterback he is, or he can operate this offense, which is just chock full of scoring options.
Yeah, I mean, because of that, because I believe so strongly that Tua is remarkably overrated, I have a good lean towards Miami, but I'm also high on Seattle relative to most, I believe, and therefore I just can't touch it. Also, Mike McDonald, Seahawks defense, has an inherent advantage against all Kyle Shanahan offenses. He's just really good at thwarting them. Therefore, what am I to do?
Yeah, I think we stay away. And again, we don't have to bet it because in our maybe pile and out of the games we've already picked, we're already going to have to cut stuff. So
exactly.
Moving on. Next up, we have the Detroit Lions going to play the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals are +3.
This will be a fun game. Fun fact, PFF has Kyler Murray as the best quarterback in the NFL. He was amazing in week 2, but I watched week 1. I know you're wrong. This is tough. Marvin Harrison Jr. is the guy that we thought he would be, turns out. He's really, really good, and he's always open. Kyler Murray is playing better, and I genuinely think that the Cardinals offense is above average, which I didn't think I would believe. Fuck. I think the Lions are a little overrated too. I don't want to touch this game. It's going to be a tough one.
Same boat. I would lean Cardinals. I mean, you have a home underdog that they've looked really good to this point. I think some of it is that people don't really believe it because they've been so bad the last few years. But Kyler's healthy and doing that little demon midget thing runing around.
You're going to get us taken off YouTube.
I'm sorry. Demon little person.
That sounds so much worse. I'm sorry. I know that's right, but it's wrong. We're going to look back at that one day and be like, I can't believe they used to say that.
It it is remarkably similar to like watching Game of Thrones and they call Peter Dinklage a half man.
Yeah.
That's it. It sounds like they just like made that a modern term and went, yeah, little
They just
person.
used synonyms. Yeah. No, it's moving off of people that are vertically challenged. I know
Uh,
what you mean. The basic reason I don't want to bet this is because I think the Lions are probably a little better team with a little better coaching staff, but then I have to bet on the terrible quarterback. Whereas on the other side, I think I get a slightly better team, but I hate the defense. I think that Ben Johnson can exploit the defense, and it's not like I love Kyler Murray. And after how great he played last week, I think he's due for some regression.
right. And we're getting the wrong side in that it's him coming off of all the hype
Yeah.
that it would feel a little square going with the Cardinals. And for the third time in a row, we don't have to bet this game.
It's really great how that keeps happening.
Yeah, it's really nice when we get games in the noon slate that we like because then we can really be picky.
For the first time all year, the 3 o'clock slate's really going to have some great games to watch, though.
Yeah, it should actually be fun. I mean, obviously the Panthers-Raiders game is going to be disgusting, but it should actually be competitive.
Dolphins Seahawks will be on one of my TVs just because I'm intrigued. I want to see how it goes. Lions Cardinals will be on one of my TVs because it's legitimately a good game. 49ers Rams probably won't because it's sad at this point. Let's just get that game out of the way. I ain't touching it. There are no Rams left.
Nope. Yeah, not a game worth betting on.
And then finally, Ravens Cowboys is like a great marquee Sunday night football caliber game.
And speaking of that game, we have the Baltimore Ravens traveling to play the Dallas Cowboys, rounding out the 3 o'clock slate. The Cowboys are +1.
It's effectively a pick 'em.
Yes.
It's a pick 'em, so do you have a side that you lean to or like?
I mean, honestly, kind of the Ravens,
This might have to be a cigarette bet then, because I like the Cowboys.
but I don't really like either one. I think the Ravens, I mean, both teams are going to be upset after last week.
Oh boy, yeah.
The Ravens have looked worse
Terrible.
because their offensive line is atrocious.
A bad thing.
But
Let's start on that side of the ball. Let's break it down, figure out how we feel about this game.
I just don't know how much they're going to be able to contain Lamar running. And I don't like their corners the longer plays go on.
That's a really good point. So I think what I think you mean for the people at home is basically just these Cowboys corners are slow and they guess a lot. And that's great when you're playing against like a quick hitting offense that throws lots of slants and outs and you can just sit in zone and pick your battles and try to make interceptions. It's not great when you have to hang with your receivers for 5 seconds because Lamar Jackson is running figure eights in the backfield. Now, two things I think help the Cowboys. I've decided the Cowboys is us. Micah Parsons is Micah Parsons. And while I'm of the opinion that he should always be rushing the passer as a defensive end, Mike Zimmer is not. Mike Zimmer wants to stand him up and use him as a weapon in certain scenarios. And I think Micah Parsons is one of the rare defensive linemen who have the quickness, straight line speed, and the tackling ability to legitimately handle Lamar Jackson. So again, versus 99% of quarterbacks, I think Micah Parsons should be rushing the passer. Against Lamar, I think it's really smart to use him as a spy, as a container, creatively to just try to make sure Lamar is not going to gash you. And I think he'll be really effective at that. And I think that that's exactly what Mike Zimmer wants to do. The rest of the defensive line has been pancaked this season. The Saints did anything and everything they wanted to them, kind of like Micah Parsons in a locker room in college. And the Cowboys offense or defense wasn't that great against the Browns so much as the Browns were just bad.
Yeah.
Certainly don't look up what Micah Parsons used to do to his teammates in the locker room at Penn State. Don't do it. It would be bad. Don't.
It will change you.
Yeah, I'm sure it changed a lot of men in that locker room. The Ravens offensive line, I think, is getting a little bit of a bad rap, but it is bad. Mercari's a bad right tackle, and unfortunately, it pains me to say it, Daniel Faalele is not a starting guard. Yeah. He's confused all the time, and he's not getting his hands out quick enough, and that's bad. And then Voorhees is up and down. He's a rookie, I get it. But on the other side, the reason this is tough and the reason it's not a slam dunk for the Cowboys is that DeMarcus Lawrence is underperforming, and he's on the wrong side of 30, and he was never awesome. He was just solid. He was a good player, but not a great player. Has time come for him? Has he hit the wall? Seems like it. Want to make sure I say this name right.
Odigizua.
Osio Odigizua. He's one of those guys that the Cowboys kind of like Cowboys media and Cowboys fans every summer they tell you like it's happening and then it's not. Mozzie Smith also is another guy where like people told me he is going to be something. And then I watched his film and I was like, fucking where and when? And a year and a half into his career, it hasn't started, and I'm starting to think maybe it won't. I actually do like Marshawn Kneeland. I think he'll be fine, especially if they kick Parsons up to linebacker. What encourages me is that Derrick Henry sucks. I've been saying it for years he sucks, and now it really, really is showing he sucks. So I don't care that much that the Cowboys defensive line isn't going to dominate because I think that they'll be able to handle his slow ass as it is. And then the linebackers, Eric Kendricks is smart. It's Damone Clark, right?
Think so? I don't know.
It is Damone Clark. Haha. Damone Clark and Micah Parsons are really athletic, and that's what you need against Lamar. I'm not saying I love that linebacker core, but I love it for this game because the Ravens are a unique offense all their own, right? It's a totally different game than playing any other team. On the outside, like, yeah, I'm not thrilled about Trevon Diggs having to try to cover Zay Flowers, but I'm also not terrified of Lamar Jackson cutting me up in the passing game. And then when it comes to coaching, I think it's pretty even. I think I actually get the better kicker in Dallas, which is so weird to say.
Yeah, seriously. But I agree with you.
Like Tucker is 85% of the man he was, and Brandon Aubrey is 105% of the man he ever was.
I don't know about that.
The man can hit from 70. He's a weapon. We're arguing kickers. This is dumb.
Let's go to the other side of the ball.
Yeah, other side of the ball. Nothing about the Baltimore defense really intimidates me. It's clear that Mike McDonald rather took a lot of that defensive scheme with him, and it wasn't in the pipeline in Baltimore. It was just McDonald because they look much different and much worse on defense. The linebackers are sure missing Patrick Queen, I guess, because they look like shit.
Never thought I'd see the day.
I mean, that's not what's going on. They're just being asked to do very different things. And the defensive line is genuinely not good. So while we think that Dallas's offensive line is overrated, it's not going to matter. Yeah, Marlon Humphrey lost a step. We saw that against Kansas City. He got taken advantage of. He's covering CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb's not the fastest guy either. It doesn't matter. You just have to be smart and hold as Marlon Humphrey will do, and you'll be okay. You're right. This is a tough game. I like Dallas, but I don't know if I like them enough. It's a maybe pile.
Yeah, I don't want to bet on this one. I think I lean Ravens, but this feels like a game that gets decided based on which quarterback makes a stupid turnover in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess that's why it's a pick 'em, but I don't think I feel more strongly about this game than I do any of the other ones in our maybe pile. So probably not going to make it.
We got 3 more games and they're all prime time. So let's see if there isn't any bets to make.
Moving on to Sunday night, as Carrie Underwood sings us into some sweet football.
You stumbled on that one, buddy.
I did. I used to have to go to speech classes for my list.
Oh, no. And now you're a broadcaster. Main takeaway being Carrie Underwood. Nice to look at.
Yeah. The Kansas City Chiefs are going to play the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are plus 3.5.
I hate the Chiefs, but every single week I like the Chiefs.
I agree with
like
you.
Every week I watch the game and I'm like, these fuckers are so overrated. And then it comes time for them to play the next game and I'm like, somehow they're playing an even worse team with even more glaring flaws.
Yeah. I mean, you have a supreme coaching mismatch.
Yep.
For all of Mahomes' attempted pickables, Kirk Cousins can't move. And
no, Kirk Cousins actually set a record last week. I've never seen anything even close to this. In the first half, Kirk Cousins had 0 positive pocket movements or pocket movements at whatsoever. He didn't move.
I saw some video of he's just like, he can't push off of his back foot at all.
No, his arm looks shot to hell.
Well, yeah, I mean, he can't use his legs. And the only real movement they had in that game was against prevent defense.
Yeah, and it was not because Kirk was like firing on all cylinders. It was purely because there was nobody around and he was smart.
Yeah, and I don't think that's going to happen against Spags.
You know what? Chiefs minus 3.5 might go down to -3, it looks like. I think I might fucking do it.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing you could do is you could just tie it with something else.
Well, yeah, I mean, toss Tampa Bay with Chiefs minus 2.5. You're looking at great odds.
Yeah.
God damn it. Are we going to bet on these Chiefs again?
I don't know.
Okay, it's going to be tough to run the ball against the Chiefs, right? It always is. Chris Jones is sick. Karlaftis is a defensive tackle playing edge. Leo Chenal is a defensive end playing linebacker.
Mike Pennell's humongous.
And Mike Dan is a defensive tackle playing defensive end. So like they have a big, stout defensive front. The Falcons' offensive line rather is solid, not great. Bijan is special. He is, but there's no passing game to support. Yeah, dude, Chiefs.
Even at 3.5, or only if it's 3?
At 3.5, it's a maybe pilot. 3, it's a take. Let me see real
agree.
quick. Let's check. I don't want to, give a free ad to the company I'm about to use because their owner's not nice to me on Twitter. But let's check what the consensus odds are. It's 3.5 across the board, but it's moving to 3. All right, party people, here's what it's going to be. If the Chiefs are -3 when the contest lines come out, take it. If not, maybe pile. We'll discuss that later. Yeah?
Yeah, I agree. I think you should definitely bet on this game, but maybe just buy some points and tie it into Tampa money line or something.
Definitely. But like if we're talking trying to figure out contest lines, I don't know, man.
Yeah. But all right. Well, maybe pile it, move on to Monday, and be back shortly. On to a Monday night with 2 games.
Wait, let's knock out the shitty one first because it'll take 10 seconds.
Which one you talking about?
Very fair. Bengals -9 hosting Commanders. Nope.
Yeah, not a chance.
That's the Diarrhea Bowl. I will be watching it just to grade the quarterbacks and tell everybody they're bad.
One thing I do think we should do with Cincy, not this week because there's no value on them, we should go and look at like the last 2 years where they've been classically slow starters and figure out what week they've like kind of turned it around. I know every year's a little different, and this year had contract stuff and T. Higgins has been out and all that, but if it's like around the same week the last 2 years, maybe we look to that week and give them a little bump, but not this week.
Alex, I know exactly when the Bengals are going to turn it around. Would you like the secret ingredient, the secret answer? It's when they play the fucking Commanders. That's it. I mean, like, they're going to win by 8 to 15 points. The question is just how many of them?
I mean, I would have thought they would have beat the Patriots by a touchdown, and they lost.
True. We're not betting on the Bengals. That's for goddamn sure.
No, we're not betting.
Something tells me that we're about to see a bunch of people tweeting and writing headlines along the lines of Joe Burrow is back.
He just needed to lose to the Chiefs to get his fire back.
Somebody needs to rip those plastic teeth out of his fucking face. All right. Last game of the week.
We have the Jacksonville Jaguars going to play the Buffalo Bills. The Bills are -5. And for the...
You already did that.
I already did it.
Alex is getting lost in the cuts. We're good. Bills -5. Basically, my handicap on this game is why the hell shouldn't I bet Bills -5?
I don't know. You got some definite backdoor worries, and I don't think the Bills have the same defensive line that will wreck the game, or rather, a Myles Garrett that will wreck the game. And
they have Greg Rousseau. He had 19 sacks in college.
Who cares?
Yep, exactly. No, you're right. 5 is a lot for a Bills team I don't totally trust, and that I think actually is a wee bit fraudulent because of their win in Miami. They couldn't really stop Miami except when Tua gave them the ball, which he kept doing until his untimely death. Fuck. I really hate Trevor Lawrence. I don't think he's any good.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking more and more like that.
I want to fade Trevor Lawrence is why I want to bet Bills, but I don't trust the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of my issue, is that you still have to cover a pretty sizable number, and the Bills are truly the fighting Josh Allens.
Yeah, no, it couldn't be said any better. It really is. Like Baker Mayfield drags a pretty incompetent team with him, but he does it by playing quarterback, whereas Josh Allen drags an incompetent team with him by way of whatever it takes. Like you could guard every one of his shitty receivers and Josh Allen will run on you. And if you stop him from running, he will throw on you. I lean Bills for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you're right. I don't think that the Bills front seven is impressive at all. I don't think they'll get much pressure on Lawrence at all. I don't love their secondary. I think it's just okay enough. On offense, I don't.
Revenge game?
What's that?
Is that Gabe Davis?
This is a Gabe Davis revenge game. That is true. That changes everything now, doesn't it? No, I don't like the Bills' offensive line much. I don't like their receivers much. Damn.
I think it's going to be hard to bet on the Bills because they just have so much variance of it's really like, does Josh Allen play like a Greek god or does he play like an average human man?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And like, I mean, it worked last week, but that was more like a bet against Tua and the Dolphins than it was on the Bills.
That's all it was.
And while we would like to fade the Jags, I think it's tough to fade them after they just lost to the Browns and are 0-2.
That's what I'm saying. Like the Bills shouldn't be 2-0. The Jags shouldn't be 0-2. Fuck. Okay. I think we have to go back to the maybe pile.
Yeah, I think so. But I'm fine with it because I like a lot of our maybe piles.
So as it stands, our maybe pile that I have written down is New England plus 6.5, Tampa -7, Chicago +1, and by way of me forcing it through, Dallas pick'em.
Kansas City -3.5.
Fuck. These are some tough, well-crafted lines.
Yeah, I mean, we have to, so out of these four, we have to pick two. Because currently we have Minnesota money line +120, New Orleans -2.5, and Tennessee -3. Do you have any, like, what's your top in the maybe pile?
Well, I personally bet Dallas money line, and I haven't bet any of the other ones. I like Chicago, but I'm terrified of it.
Absolutely.
I don't like the Chiefs -3.5, but it feels easy. They're playing the fucking Falcons. The Falcons are basically the Buccaneers with lesser quarterback talent.
Mm-hmm. And then we have the Bucks.
Against the
Who are
Broncos,
playing-
who suck. They suck so bad. Hold on, because the Bucks might be the answer.
I mean, we still have New England, too, at +6.5
The reason that we like New
in a
England,
rainy game on a short week against
think
old man Aaron Rodgers.
we think that New England will be gross enough that we bet it and it's helpful. Whereas I actually think that the Buccaneers will blow out the Broncos just like they did Washington.
Yeah, I mean, the Broncos are very bad.
The Broncos are terrible.
I'm fine with that bet. -7, fuck it. They should win by 3 scores.
Yeah, if we're going to go down swinging with Baker Mayfield.
This is going to be the week he performs like an average man.
Don't you fucking say those words. It's Buccaneers -6.5, by the way, for those of you keeping track at home. Yeah, but no, like the one thing I'm worried about is the Bucs right tackle, this school kid. He's terrible. He's unbelievably bad. But who the hell is rushing against him? Barrett Browning? I'm not scared. I really hate this entire Broncos defense. I kind of hate the whole entire Broncos team. By kind of, I mean like clearly a lot.
Cortland Sutton's cool.
PFF thinks that there's a quarterback worse than Bo Nix. I can't even fathom what that looks like. Oh, it's got to be Bryce Young. Never mind. He's so bad I forgot he existed.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Tampa is a bet. Cha-ching. And then it comes down to Chicago, Dallas, and Kansas City. I want to say Dallas.
And New England.
I'm not doing New England.
You're not?
It's so gross. I don't want it. I don't want to watch that game. That's really what it comes down to. That game will give me AIDS.
That's very fair. I'm just saying I think it's a good bet, but I absolutely understand not wanting to do it.
I think all these are decent enough bets. I'd throw a unit on any of these, personally. Granted, I'm a little bit more flippant with my units these days on account of being up like 9 of them already on the season. I'm up 9 units already on the season.
That's nuts. It's the start of week 3.
36 divided by 4 is 9, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm up fucking 9 units.
All right. Well,
Gardner Johnson face.
let's pick this last game. You really want to do Dallas, huh?
Dallas. Fuck
More
Lamar
than-
Jackson. Dallas.
More than Chicago money line?
Yes, I think. Yeah. Yeah, because
Okay.
I think the Ravens suck. They can't run the ball. They can't pass the ball because Lamar. Dallas just got embarrassed, and Dallas is a decent team. I think the
I'm fine
Ravens
with
might
that.
the Ravens might be at the end of their rope. They don't have a good offensive line anymore. They don't have a great defense anymore. They can't run the ball anymore. What the fuck do they have left? They built a thing that worked because everything was perfect. Lamar Jackson made no money, and they didn't rely on passing the ball, and they were unique. Now we are in a more run-centric NFL where their defense suddenly isn't very good, and their offensive line suddenly isn't very good, and their running back suddenly sucks even though they gave him a ton of money, and they rely on Lamar passing, and he can't, and that's why they lost to the fucking Raiders.
Yeah, I think the Raiders are kind of built to play with a team like that. But I agree. I think the Cowboys, I have more overall faith in them as a team.
And they're at home, and they just got embarrassed, and they have legitimate championship hopes, and they're going to get up for this game.
I mean, the Ravens just got embarrassed too, but
Yeah, but the Ravens are always playing max motivation because they're the Ravens. Like, that's how Harbaugh coaches.
all right. Pick number 5, Dallas, +1. Are we
Yeah.
just doing money line?
I mean, sure. Do you have a line for the money line? Do you have odds?
No.
Oh, it's +120. money. I already have that bet.
All right. So our 5 bets for the week. Oh, we have one more thing to decide. Are we doing double best bets?
I was thinking about it. Minnesota is my best bet. I could see New Orleans losing. I could see Tennessee losing. I can't see Minnesota losing. Knock on some wood.
I did.
Yeah, double best bet.
All right. I'm fine with that. I kind of like that.
Like,
'Cause
what
I
have the
think it-
Eagles? What have the Eagles done?
Yeah, and it hedges a little bit too.
Exactly. That's why I like it.
Hmm.
All right, and
All
then
right.
are we doing any drop dead leg parlay with Tampa Bay money line?
I mean, we could do Kansas City and Tampa both money line, or even Kansas City like -2.5.
I like the money line parlay right there. Give me one sec. Let's figure that one out. These apps always try to make me bet on baseball, and it's like I'm never going to bet on baseball. I had that phase in college. It's over. I'm no longer a gambling addict. I'm not betting on baseball. You parlay Tampa money line with Kansas City money line, you get even odds. Cha-ching. That is the drop dead leg parlay of the week.
All right, time to wrap up.
Best bet, Minnesota, 2 units, money line.
Plus
Also,
120 odds.
plus 120 odds. Also a best bet, New Orleans, -2.5, regular odds. Tennessee, -3, regular odds. Look for the -2.5. It's out there. Tampa Bay, -6.5. What? It's not -7. It's 6.5.
Not according to the thing I'm looking at.
What are you looking at?
Look at the site.
Fuck that site. It's juiced to even.
I mean, I'm fine with doing 6.5. I'm just saying.
I'm looking at Caesars right now in Illinois, and it's 6.5.
Okay, then it's 6.5.
Look, it's out there. You can find it. And the contest is going to make it 6.5 because they like having half numbers.
Right.
Tampa 6.5. And, God forbid it comes in at Tampa 7. Bet that too. I don't care. And finally, our last pick is going to be Dallas. Money line, plus 120. Obviously, in the contest, you take the points or point. With our final bet being the parlay of Tampa money line and Kansas City money line at -101 odds. We did it. It's a messy week. It's kind of a weird week of lines, but I do think there's plenty of value out there to go get it. And, if you want to put a bonus bet on Chicago, go ahead. Or even New England. But I don't think we'll do that for the pod this week just because I don't love them.
That's totally fair. Are we doing an official half-unit bonus bet on Chicago?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Like, I think I lean that way on that game, but I'm not like dying to pick it. Usually I do bonus bets when I really want to pick a game.
Yeah, I agree. I like the board. I like what we came up with. Let's win some money this week, huh?
Yeah, let's get back in the winning column. Let's join the Patreon and the Joe's Pocketbook in the winning bet weeks. And I won't forget to bet on Buffalo in the contest this week because we're not betting on Thursday. Last week in the contest, full disclosure, we picked Buffalo, but I was kind of working out during lunch when I was supposed to be making the Thursday night pick, and I kind of didn't check my phone, and then I kind of couldn't pick Buffalo. So I had to audible and pick Jacksonville, and Alex was mad at me for that. And yeah, I fucked up. So to not fucking up this week, yeah, I don't know, just please bet on football games. Asta.